What's up, everybody? Welcome back for another video. This one, I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about alts and kind of like the different purposes and the uses of alts in EVE Online. I've gotten this question quite a bit about, are alts worth it, or do I need an alt for X, Y, or Z? And I'll just kind of give you my experience and my perspective on using alts in the game. And really what it comes down to is, as appealing as it might be to like have a main that can just do a lot of different things, the more skill levels you get and the higher you go in Eve, the harder that those large skill injectors have lower return. So having, a very well-rounded character can be very time consuming, right? So the biggest benefit of actually having alts is to kind of break up um, menial tasks, whether it be regardless of what it might be, you can just kind of break up certain things into, compartmentalized purposes. I started getting alts in Eve when I was doing mining early on, so that's probably one of the most common reasons people will get an alt is just to put another mining barge or mining frigate or whatever with your Orca, Porpoise, or even your Rorqual, right? Because the more alts you have, then the more you're going to be mining, and the more ISK you can end up making. After I started breaking into more industry and things like that, my alts got trained into PI or planetary industry, and that just allows you to scale your PI because for every character you get an additional 6 planets that you can put extractor setups on or production planets and things like that. So most of my alts are trained across for mining, um, PI, and then Cyno. Even though I kind of shifted my Cyno alt strategy about a year in to doing like jump raider stuff like that. But I'll talk a little bit more about Cyno alts in a minute or so. But like I said, mining alts is probably the most common one. You can also have your PI alts, and for PI alts, it's pretty simple. I'll try to go through like the skills kind of you would just focus on for each of these types. Mining is probably the most time consuming because for a good mining alt, for like a Hulk mining alt, max yield, you're probably looking at like if you have nothing else but focused skills in mining, you can do it in like 5.5. You can do it within the 5 million, right? But obviously there's a lot of like skill fluff in there, so you have to like skill them up and then kind of suck stuff out that they don't need. But usually that mining alt will hit about 6 million when it'll be a max yield. I'm not gonna go through all those skills. There's a lot of them, right? Exumer, reprocessing skills. It depends if you're going like most of my mining alts are max mining, max ice mining, and then also Mercoxis mining, which that would be like the full ride, right? Now, all of my planetary alts, I'm on my main right now, but just give me a kind of an idea of what skills you might need for like a PI alt. You're looking at the most important skills obviously are the command center upgrade, do it all the way to 5, and then the interplanetary constellation skill to 5. This was going to allow you to have the max amount of upgrades, which gives you more CPU usage on your PI. So you definitely want both these skills at 5. Everything else can be done like 3 or so. But most of my alts spent a lot of their time just processing PI on their planets. And this is back when I was making nanite repair paste. This is back when I was doing like fuel blocks because even though you can do like fuel blocks and you can do like nanite repair paste with minimal amount of characters, the more alts you add for PI, the higher your output is, and the more things like nanite repair paste you can make, and also more fuel blocks you can output. And so for me, I think at the highest point of my fuel block, I was running, I want to say like eight or nine alts other than my main, and those are all just doing extractor planets, which is really great. But like every time you add alt, you just gotta keep in mind it's it's a little bit longer to go pick up everything every day, and just depending on your configuration for PI, it can be a little time consuming. Now, the other very common use for alts is going to be your Cyno alt, right? Now, if you're going to set up like a jump raider route, you can save yourself a lot of time and convenience by just training these Cyno alts and just putting them in place along your Cyno route or your jump raider route rather. So, for instance, if you can put them all the way down, all the way through your route, and then whenever you want to like jump, you just log them in. And the strategy there is you just have them sitting in a station, and you have their home set to that station. So if like their venture or whatever their Cyno ship is gets popped, then they just get kind of sucked back into the station where you have a stockpile of Cyno ships for use, and you just restock that every time you go through. That's what I did when I first started doing jump raider routes, but nowadays I don't really have Cyno alts placed along a route. I don't really get in a hurry when I'm jumping things like dreads or the jump raiders around, so I usually have just one account that is just has nothing but Cyno trained alts on it. So now I'll just have them kind of move. You know, I usually just jump everything with one alt for the most part. I'll just move that alt and kind of scout as I go, and then jump and then scout, jump, scout. That gives me time to like have my jump fatigue kind of reset and just kind of get the lay of the land as I'm going through. It really depends on what you're doing, right? I don't really do jump raider routes anymore, out in and out of null. Most of the time, what I'm jumping is just like the Rorqual or the Dread or other big ships kind of around, and I'm not really under time pressure to do that. So just having Omega on that one Cyno alt is kind of how I'm doing things now. Um, the some other uses of alts you can use as well are like research alts or manufacturing alts. So anything that can, you're kind of gated by certain slots is beneficial there too. So for instance, if you can only have like 10 manufacturing jobs on one character, then if you make an alt and train them into manufacturing, then you get another 10 slots. Or if it's research, you need more research slots for BPOs and things like that. You can just make alts to train additional or research additional BPOs. The other big one is probably also very common is the trade or the market alt. Mine's sits in Jita. Most trade alts will. If you're going to be playing the market, day trading, or anything like that, then that's the benefit there because you don't have to actually take your main character all the way back, depending on where you are. You could be living in Null, Wormhole, you know, low sec. Instead of bringing your main back to Jita using a jump timer or whatever, you just log in your trade alt and refresh market orders or put up new buy orders. And that all usually gets trained a lot in trade skills, so they have better tax rates based on their skills. And instead of wasting skill points on your main for trade skills, you can just kind of put it all on that one character. And for me, I do a lot of market trading as well, so it's actually beneficial for me to just have an alt dedicated to that. Another use is Logi alts, especially if you do a lot of like um, fleets and stuff like that, where you can run your own Logi for either cap or shield or armor reps or whatever the case may be. Also, if you run like trig ships, like precursor ships, like and you can like link them up together as well. The cap link or armor link, you can kind of just double up on the firepower if you're doing like structure bashes, which is really nice. Um, the Lashek is actually probably one of the biggest reasons to get like just a duplicate alt for a ship, right? If you're doing like a lot of structure bashes, you can just take both your main and your alt with Lashek, link them up, and put lasers on a structure, which will put you pretty high on the top damage on that kill mail. Another obvious one I think would be like a recon alt or eyes. So if you're doing like mining or if you're doing any sort of activity that you want to kind of keep a bead on the next system or maybe like a bottleneck in your constellation, putting alts in different systems to kind of watch local. This benefits you if you have like multiple monitors on your computer where you can have that alt up on another screen and you can kind of just see traffic going in and out of certain systems. And if you're in a corporation that's doing a big mining, moon mining alts, or moon mining, they might assign um, recon alts or eyes to adjacent systems, and that allows you to actually have somebody out there and kind of help watch your back. And I use those a lot too when I'm doing like Rorqual siege mining for ice or whatever, just to give me a little bit extra information, especially if I'm mining in like a dead end system or something like that. Probably one of my favorite uses of an alt is actually the project discovery alt, because every character is able to do like 200 or so submissions for project discovery every day. So that equates to about 20 million per character. So if you want to make more money without undocking, then just adding more alts to your product discovery rotation is one of my favorite uses. So most of mine are like, a hybrid, right? So it's like I'll have like my mining alts will also be like my PI alts and my Cyno alts, and then I'll log them in every day to do product discovery for just a little bit of income. And also if I'm just doing anything else on those characters, whether it be like scouting or if I'm doing eyes for a fleet, if they're just sitting there on a gate or something, then they're able to just sit there and do product discovery for a little bit extra cash, which is very useful. There are also some less obvious uses of alts as well too. So if you do like faction warfare or anything that's like um, can affect your reputation with certain factions a lot, you might have alts that are dedicated to joining up with like certain factions for faction warfare. So you might have like a Caldari or a Glante or Amar or whatever alts that are dedicated to just doing faction warfare for one federation or for one um, empire. This allows you to not like kind of muddy the waters on your main that with getting negative standings or whatever. And then probably one of the other one uses is anybody that's out there living in wormholes before, having a wormhole anchor alt. So if you ever actually get killed or law or wiped out, or if a wormhole closes behind you, that anchor alt can actually help you kind of get back to where you're set up in wormholes and stuff like that. And I guess scanning alt too could kind of fall into that same category. If you do a lot of um, hacking or relic sites, and you don't necessarily want to like switch ships out a lot, then having a dedicated alt to do scanning and scan SIGs is is nice as well. I actually more recently got into having a dedicated scanning alt because if I'm doing a lot of combat sites with like the golem or something like that, instead of like switching in and out of like let's say a buzzard or something to do scanning, I just have an alt sitting somewhere that can just kind of like scan that stuff as it pops up. That allows me to do things like if I'm running a combat site and a signature pops up, instead of like stopping what I'm doing, I can just have that alt scanning on the other screen. And if it's a combat site, I can just kind of warp straight to it and everything like that. So I won't make this video too long. I just wanted to kind of like give some people some ideas about the different uses of alts. Let me know in the comments if you have a unique use of alts uh, that you do that I haven't mentioned. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.